Today I'm going through another poem by Donne. This one is called Song, but it is better known as Go and Catch a Falling Star, as there are 3 different songs in Donne's lyrical poems. This poem was written when Donne was a young man, and therefore it is typical of the sort of poetry he wrote in the first period of his life. If you'd like to get more familiar with the 3 different periods in Donne's life and the way they affected his poetry, you can always check my other video on YouTube called The 3 Lives of John Donne. Go and catch a falling star. Go and try to catch a meteor, a piece of rock from outer space that enters the atmosphere of the earth and then catches fire. Can you do that? Get with child a mandrake root. Child originally meant a fetus, that is an unborn baby. So the phrase get with child means make pregnant. A mandrake is a poisonous plant that was formerly believed to have magical powers. But the physical appearance of this plant was also very important for poets and writers, because the root of this plant looks like the lower part of a human being, and sometimes, in some cases, it has hands and even a head. So, get with child a mandrake root means try to make a mandrake root pregnant instead of a human being. Can you do that, by the way? Tell me where all past years are. Search me, how would I know that? Or who cleft the devil's foot? The verb cleft is the less common past tense of to cleave, which means to cut in half. So the story is that the devil was believed to be capable of disguising himself as anybody or anything, but he had one single problem, and that weak point was that he was not able to conceal his cloven feet, and therefore people could recognize him from that. But who caused this trouble for the devil? I don't know. This happened ages and ages ago, and nobody was present at that time. Teach me to hear mermaids singing. Mermaids are legendary aquatic creatures who had the head and the trunk of often a beautiful woman, and from the waist down they looked like a fish with tails and scales. But people had to be very careful about them, because anybody listening to the songs couldn't help going towards them, and in their attempt to get to the source of that song, they would drown and die. There are, of course, different versions. Some people would just jump into the sea and drown. In other versions, some sailors would steer the ship towards the mermaids or the island where they lived, and in this way the ship smashed on the rocks around the island and everybody on board died. But only and only one man managed to survive, and that was nobody but Odysseus. He was warned by a witch called Circe, and therefore he knew what was awaiting him. He ordered his men to put wax into their ears so that they wouldn't hear anything, and he had them tie him to the headmast. And he said to them, when I shout and say, let me go, never let me go, but even tie me more firmly. And they did so. And so the ship went past the island, and Odysseus managed to listen to the song, and nothing happened. But that was Odysseus. In the original story, we have sirens who had the head of a woman and the body of a bird, but later they were identified with more beautiful mermaids. or to keep off envy's stinging. We need the word teach from the previous line. Teach me how to keep off envy's stinging. Envy means jealousy. To keep off means to avoid. Stinging here means annoying or upsetting someone. You know, when someone is highly successful in his job or has a good family or is very knowledgeable and things like that, some people start saying things out of sour grapes, and in this way they upset him. But this is a universal problem. Do you know any solution for that? And find what wind serves to advance an honest mind. Some of you might be surprised why I pronounce the word wind wind. Well, this is because up to the middle of the 18th century, the dominant pronunciation of this word was wind, and therefore it's not only for the sake of rhyme, just to have true rhymes, that we pronounce wind, wind, but also because, historically speaking, this is the right pronunciation of the word, especially because we know that this poem was written around 1600. Teach me how to find a wind to help to improve an honest person in his social life. The underlying idea is that people who never lie, people who never cheat, cannot improve in life like unscrupulous men. The word mind, in the sense of person, was commonly used in the past. Sir Philip Sidney speaks of humble, broken minds. Shakespeare uses unknown and true minds, and here Donne speaks of honest minds. Well, let's have a bird's eye view of the whole stanza up to here. We see that there are a number of imperatives like go, catch, find, teach, etc. And we see that all of these imperatives ask us to do something impossible. These impossible tasks are there, but why? To know the answer, we've got to go through the next stanza. If thou beest born to strange sights, things invisible to see. Well, these two lines, I wouldn't say the most difficult, but these two lines are open to discussion. And I have seen a couple of different interpretations of these two. Personally, I prefer the interpretation which says, if you are born a psychic, a person who can read minds, who can close his eyes and see other people in other places and so on, if you have extrasensory perception, if you can see things that other people cannot see them and are invisible to them, then you and only you should ride 10,000 days and nights and go to the four corners of the world till age snow white hairs on thee, to the end of your life, until old age showers down snow on your hair, that is, your hair turns white. Thou, when thou return'st, wilt tell me all strange wonders that befell thee. Thou means you as the subject of a sentence. The object is thee. Both of these words are used when we are speaking to only one person. The verb after thou takes est, but often the e is omitted to make room for an extra syllable in a line of poetry. Wilt is the former will used after thou. You, when you come back, will speak about the great wonders in the world. But there is one thing you have not been able to find, the greatest wonder of all. And what is it? And swear nowhere lives a woman true and fair. But the only wonder you can never find is a woman who is both true to her husband and at the same time beautiful. Aha, so that was the main point of the poem. Now we understand that the first stanza functions as an introduction. You might be able to do impossible tasks, even catch a falling star or find out where past years are, but there is one thing that you can never do: finding a woman who is true and beautiful at the same time. If thou find'st one, let me know, such a pilgrimage were sweet. A pilgrimage is a journey to a holy place. So it means that a beautiful and true woman is a holy thing, and it is worth going and visiting that holy place. Yet do not, I would not go, though at next door we might meet. Suddenly the speaker backpedals. No, I wouldn't do that, although she might be a neighbour living a stone's throw from me. Because, though she were true when you met her, and last till you write your letter, yet she will be false ere I come to 2 or 3. When you met her for the first time a few minutes ago, she was an honest and true girl, but this would only last until you put pen to paper to write to me to come and see her, because I'm sure she would betray a couple of men and lovers before I managed to get there. We clearly see the exaggeration here. The man who previously talked about a lifelong search for a true mistress all over the world now takes back his word. He's not willing to even take a few steps to meet her. He knows that such a girl does not exist in real world. Of course, the tone is light-hearted, or maybe at times even a bit comic, but the content is excessively misogynist. So there remains a good question to ask. Why do you think Donne wrote this poem? Is it because, like some of his contemporaries such as Shakespeare, he was sick with Petrarchan conceits where the mistress was glorified in boring clichés? Or is it because he was a young man at the time who would get together with male friends in literary circles and enjoy talking about girls in this way? Or perhaps it was because deep down inside he knew he was ready to sacrifice all he had for a fair and true girl as soon as he would meet her. I mean, someone like his future wife, Anne More. And with such poems, he expressed his frustration of the failure to find her at the time. What do you think about this? Now let's listen to a performance of this song. After all, it's a song, which means it was originally written to be put to music.